Andrew Bopros here. Hey, I want to do a real quick video on day two, give you my hot take, my general thoughts on what happened, good, bad, indifference. I know my brother Kyle's not exactly happy with the selections that we made, um, but I am. I was very busy yesterday. I am hopping on a plane today. I'm going to be jumping on a cruise all next week. So I just wanted to give my general thoughts before I took off and give you my hot take on what we did. So Andrew, Bolt Bros, let's get into it. All right, guys, as always, like and subscribe. But I want to get into specifically what we did on day two. And so I'm a huge fan of these two picks. I think initially I heard about it. I'm like, man, I wanted a tight end. You guys know I wanted a tight end and edge rusher. But I'll tell you this: we picked up, well, essentially an edge rusher and a middle linebacker. Just understand this: we got this guy for one reason only. We did not pick up Kenneth Murray's fifth-year contract. We also did pick up Justin Herbert's fifth-year contract, which is something I predicted. I didn't think we were actually going to give him a long-term contract just yet, just because I really believe that we're so salary cap strapped right now. We can probably give him something more long-term next season when we let go of Allen and Williams. So again, guys, there is a method to the madness here, guys. It's so easy for us as fans to say, "Hey, we want weapons downfield." Again, I was pretty pissed off about Hugh that we picked off because initially because I thought, "Hey, I wanted that stretch, I wanted that burner downfield." Well, he fits that mold. Allen and Williams are no longer going to be with us. In We got one more year with those guys, and that's it. They're on borrowed time. We got to eventually pay Justin Herbert. Murray is no longer going to be with us. This is his replacement. And the more I've learned about this guy, he is an absolute stud. Same thing with Bosa and Mack. Guess what? They're not going to be with us long term as well. One of those two guys are going to be gone because we just can't afford them because we got to pay Justin Herbert. This is, make no mistake about this, guys. This is our last year with those four guys. I would argue probably two of them are gone. Bosa, Mack. It'd probably be Bosa if I had to make a choice, just because he'd had so many injuries and he's so expensive at this point, and probably, hate to say it, Allen. But that's probably what's going to happen in after this next season. So again, we'll see how it plays out. But we've got to pay Justin Herbert. He's the right guy. So we're backfilling positions that are not going to be around in these upcoming seasons, right? So that's the whole point of the draft. It's about depth. It's about understanding where your team is and where your team's going. So let's talk about these guys briefly. I'm going to go through Telesco and Staley's general notes real quick, and then I want to talk a little bit about top players for day three that are still on the board. And one thing I will say about this board, this draft class specifically, a lot of depth, and that's what this team needs. Again, we need to get younger faster, and this draft really offers that for us. So let's talk about Tuli. Look, this guy's a stud. Okay, I remember when I remember thinking he could be the edge rusher we get on day two, and we got him. So I remember having this impression when I watched a bunch of linebacker conversations. This guy is an absolute stud. He's one of those dudes that is, I mean, he's all Pac-12. By the way, he was at SC. Horrible defense. I mean, they were horrible. He third in the nation with 12.5 sacks, All-American honors. I mean, look, he's from California. I think he lives 20 minutes away from SoFi Stadium. All area selection, Lawndale High after 95 tackles. I mean, this guy is an absolute stud. Henley, interesting guy. I'm trying to Sims. This is his favorite linebacker in the draft. The interesting thing about this guy, he's done a lot. He was actually a wide receiver at one point. He was at Nevada. He was. It doesn't really talk a whole lot. Yeah, he was at Nevada, 2017 to 21. Then he started becoming a linebacker. He was a defensive back. He was a wide receiver. So this guy's kind of a freak of nature, an amazing, just general athlete. That's the thing I really like about him. So this is a Kenneth Murray replacement. We didn't pick up his fifth-year contract. And this is going to be a Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa replacement. We did not pick up his contract. And our first draft was a Mike Williams or Keenan Allen replacement, because we cannot pick up their contracts these next seasons. Guys, there is a method to the madness. I understand we want sexy picks. I wanted sexy picks. You wanted sexy picks. But the reality is this: the team still has to build a team. We still have to backfill people that we're overpaying for now. I mean, ask yourself this question: is Keenan Allen worth $30 million next year? Probably not. At his age and the games he's missed, that's the unfortunate truth to the NFL. People keep asking me questions. Why aren't we paying Austin Eckler? Well, he's 28 years old. He's a running back. You don't give people long term contracts in the NFL when they're a 28-year-old running back. You just don't do it. So again, uh, look, we found our replacements for Kenneth Murray, Henley, and we found our replacements for either Mac or Bosa, and that's Tui Tuipulotu. Okay, I didn't. I screwed that up even worse. Oh my god, I'm sorry, guys. So, but anyways, the guy's an absolute stud. Again, I'm excited to see. So let's look at Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco's notes on it, and I'm going to be real quick on this. So, bottom line, I'm a huge fan of this guy. This guy's, I think, 20 years old. He's 20 years old, folks. He's not old. He's extremely young. I will say this. I watched his video reaction of being drafted. I was a little unimpressed. Um, he seemed very lackadaisical. I guess he wasn't even paying attention to the draft. That seems weird to me. If this is like the most important day of your life, he was out there having a barbecue with his family, just kind of relaxing. And I understand that's sort of the Tongan culture. And he is Tongan, guys. I have a lot of Tongan friends, and that's really their personality. But to me, draft day, I would think you'd want to be looking at the phone, seeing what's going on, and paying attention to things like that. And maybe this is also how he handles stress. But to me, I really do believe um, I was a little shocked that he didn't maybe take it a little more seriously. And I wasn't really impressed with his interview as well with the media. He just seemed very lackadaisical, lots of oohs and ums, But again, at the end of the day, guys, the talent and traits are there. He's just young. To me, what he displayed was that he was young, and he could get a lot bigger and a lot stronger. And again, he's only 20 years old, guys. He is only 20 years old. The interesting thing about him, being a stud. This is one of the big takeaways from my boy Eric Smith. I really love this guy, dude. I think he does such a great job. He's been such a great rider for the Chargers. Um, he played all over the field, right? He wasn't just an edge rusher, which is what he's going to be. Brandon Staley was very clear. He's going to be mostly an edge rusher. One of the other things too that I will say, and I think he talks about it a little bit more in this article, is that Brandon says, look, at the end of the day, we live in LA. LA has the best camps and opportunities to show people, Chargers, Rams, all these teams get to see these camps of these players all the time. So they've had a lot of things that have happened where they've gotten even closer just from even the combine, years in the making of, hey, this guy's really good. We really like him. So they have a lot of time with these guys. So I think moving forward, even in the draft, um, we're going to be seeing a lot of these guys being picked up mostly from California because they have additional time that they can work with these guys and see them growing as players. So when they actually hit the draft, they're like, man, this guy's available. We like him. We know he's a good locker room fit. We know he's a great guy, and he's going to be absolutely awesome. So, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Henley because he is freaking hilarious. You need to start to see something of his press conferences. That dude is so funny. He reminds me a lot of a young Sebastian Joseph Day. But anyways, he's absolutely hilarious. I was thinking like, man, this guy is again, he's gonna be a great locker room guy. This guy right here, Tui as well. One of the top players in the country on defense, tough, rugged, point of attack. Now, the one thing I will say that Telesco and Brandon Staley said a number of times, these guys are nasty. The way they play football is nasty. They are big bodies and they are not afraid to just punch you square in the mouth. That's kind of what this defense has lacked, right? Y'all know that I like Drew Tranquil, okay? But Drew Tranquil was not a punch you in the mouth type of guy. He was good, not great. And I hate to say it that way because he had such a great season. These guys are nasty. Okay. And I know my brother Kyle's not happy with these picks, but he always likes to say we need a dog. I'm telling you right now, both these guys are dogs. Capital DAWWWGGGG exclamation point. They are dogs. I'm not joking. Both of these guys, you watch their tape. And if I had more time, I would probably kind of try and play more videos here again. This is my hot take on it. But these guys are absolutely nasty, nasty physical players. And I love that. So, it's great. Um, And again, as I'm discussing these camps and stuff, Staley talked about it quite a bit in his presser. He basically says, "Yeah, we get to see these guys a little bit more than a lot of other people because we live here and they live close to us." He's a guy that just really grew on us in the process. They've been evaluating Tui for a long time, and Henley actually quite a bit because he is a San Diego or an LA native as well too. Um, anyways, quick, great hand use. He was all over the defensive line, right? So I would think of him a lot more like a. I'll say this. I would suspect this season. I'm just going to throw a little hot take on what I think they'll probably do with him with all the tape I saw. Um, he is going to be um, moved around the defensive line quite a bit. So, like, let's say, perfect example, third down opportunities. You'll probably put him maybe next to Mack and Bosa, and they'll run some stunts together, right? Maybe Bosa will come in, Tui will go to the outside. If we are purely going third and long, definite pass play, they will use him out there as an edge rusher. So they maybe have SJD in the middle, Tui next to him, and then they'll use him in those third down positions, right? So he's going to get a lot of play time this next season. I promise you guys. Like he's going to get a lot of play time. He is that good, and he's going to be one of the successors for back and Bosa, right? I mean, there is a method to the madness, as I said, guys. So this is great too. I love this paragraph. Henley offers a lot of versatility. He is funny, man. I, I should we should show some videos on this because he is absolutely hilarious. The way he just communicates, he's funny. Like I said, he's just like an SJD. I think he's going to be a great locker room guy. Again, his journey's been interesting. He's been all over the field. Again, wide receiver, defensive back. He's been everywhere. He's done it all. And when he was in Nevada, he was good. But then when he went to Washington State, my God, he got absolutely big. That guy is chiseled. I would love my body to look like that at some point. It will never look like that. But my point is, that dude is an absolute freak of nature. And he's also played a lot of special teams. One of the things that you'll see with Henley specifically, he probably will be mostly a special teams guy initially, which isn't a bad thing, right? Because again, he will probably still be on the field. And again, this is Sim's favorite middle linebacker in the draft, 100%. Which I thought was really interesting. I know my brother James talked a little bit about that. We're probably going to talk about more on our live on probably Saturday or Sunday. But he's going to add depth in special teams. I think he played the gunner quite a bit, if I remember correctly. He's a dynamic player, four-core player, and then a guy we think could eventually be a linebacker. I actually think there's a good chance. I mean, especially if Murray gets hurt, he might be the guy. I wouldn't even be shocked if he got a couple starts over Murray at some point this season, right? Because I mean, he's going to be sitting next to Eric Kendricks, right? And again, we got Kendricks and Murray, 69. Funny joke, but again, um, Henley, if you watch his video, he's very young, very fast. He's a violent hitter when he gets there, just like Tui. Um, the other thing that I really think that Brandon Staley likes about the guy is he's smart. He knows where he needs to be. That has consistently been the argument with not only Drew Tranquil, okay, but also Kenneth Murray. They just did not do a good job of being where they needed to be to make the play. That was their problem. And so I kind of really just sit back and say, okay, fine. Um, what do we do with these guys? And again, I promise you, Ryan Ficken was a big believer in this guy. They knew that he was going to be the right guy. Plus, he's going to give us depth in the linebacker position. Plus, it's speed. Plus, it's youth. Plus, he's a great locker room guy. Oh, I think initially when I heard these two picks, I was like, okay, Tui makes sense. I like it. But who's this guy? Henley makes sense because he adds depth in all three phases of the game, right? Well, special teams specifically, I guess not offense, of course. Not going to be playing offense, but definitely special teams. We were already great in special teams. He's already going to be amazing in special teams, and he can step into that role, which we're probably not going to keep Kenneth Murray. We didn't pick up his fifth-year contract. He's got to prove himself this season. Do we want to keep him? Well, he needs to show us something that he hasn't shown us up to this point. Okay, but Henley is a perfect fit to take over that role. And we also have Eric Kendricks for another year after this next season. So bottom line, we'll have Henley and we'll have Kendricks if Kenneth Murray doesn't step up this next season. So, again, and he adds us some depth in special teams. You guys understand the method of the madness? You understand how this is fitting. And I understand these aren't sexy picks. I get that, right? We're not getting Mayer. We're not getting the tight end that we want. but we're getting depth across the board for the team. That's a good thing. So again, it's going to be big, right? Again, one of the things I will say too, and Brandon Staley did talk a little bit about this. He's a smart player. When you take a look at him at Washington State, I think the run game and pass coverage is good. Brandon Staley talks about that a lot. And again, why didn't we not keep Drew Tranquil? We didn't keep Drew Tranquil because he sucked at the run game and he sucked at coverage. He was terrible at both of those things. We could argue there were moments and flashes of brilliance. He had a couple of interceptions here and there. Yes, he did okay tackling, but should have been more production at that position than we got from Drew Tranquil. And that's the reason why he's no longer with us. So, and he said he's an outstanding rusher, had 5 sacks last year, which is great. So not only can he sack, he actually did a very good job rushing the passer, which is excellent. And he can get you. He can get you that 3-down linebacker can really run. We feel like he's a tough thing to find nowadays, and he's very fast. I think he's a 4.5 40. I mean, he's almost as fast as Q. Actually, he did test out as fast as Q. I mean, the guy is an absolute freaking stud of an athlete, right? So, and he offers versatility. Look, I understand they're not sexy picks, but they are the right picks for our team. I'm going to 100% say that they are. So, I really do believe he's going to be great. Now, again, I don't want to go too deep into this, but they're going to be learning from vets. Look, Henley's definitely going to be learning a lot from obviously Murray and also Kendricks. He's going to be doing a lot. Obviously, special teams is going to help him out as well too. And then obviously Tuli's going to be learning from Mack and Bosa, right? One of them is going to be successors. And I mean, this is great. You're talking about a 20-year-old player that's going to walk in a room with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Are you freaking kidding me? That's pretty good. Again, I do think that Tui is a little young. I think Tui is a little, he's got a lot to learn. He's 20 years old, guys. He's 20 years old. So, and man, he's just a big guy. He's dynamic, wealth of knowledge. Look, we could talk about this all over the place. Look, Tui basically said this is probably the best line that he said in his interview. He just seemed a little befuddled, like a little like oh, what planet am I on kind of conversation. That's a little hard for me to take. I'm a type of person that kind of wants to be in the conversation. It just seemed a little strange to me. I'm blessed coming into the league. That's what I wanted. I wanted to best learn from and man, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, that's crazy, right? Not only that, you got the rump shaker, right? Again, the rump shaker is younger, right? But he still needs to kind of grow into his body as well. So we're expecting a lot from Rump this season as well too. He's excited for the opportunity. He's ready for he wants to be a sponge. Yeah, and look at Henley's. Look at this guy. You joking me? This guy's ripped. I mean, damn. I mean, look, you're seeing a theme here, right? You like people from California. You keep them local. USC, specifically Tui, right? His family's 20 minutes away from the stadium. They could be at every game. These are big things. These are things that make people stick with the team, and that's what they want. Local roots is a big part of this. I don't want to go too deep into this. I've already talked about it enough. But again, Tito Bologna, all of these guys are from this area. Again, I don't want to go too deep into this. We talked quite a bit about this. This video is already getting long, but let's talk about day 3 and see some of the other things that are on the clock. Top available players, guys. There's a lot of depth now. Again, I still think we need a tight end and a wide receiver for special teams. Again, Brandon Staley talks specifically about special teams a lot. And again, Henley is really going to be a special teamer, right? But he will fill roles here and there on the defensive side of the ball. I promise you there's going to be sets that are going to be out there as well. The interesting thing, though, about this is there's a lot of great talent. Now, there's a couple and I'm drawing a blank on the wide receivers on the top of my head, but there's a lot of great people here. There's one guy on this list I think we may pick up that I did like as a sleeper pick, probably in the he might actually be our next pick. It would say a lot if he is, but let's go through this. So again, we have a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick. So this is Daniel Jeremiah's highest ranked players. Okay. Ringo, cornerback. Okay, this guy right here, I would love him. I don't think he'll be there for us. I would love him, though. This guy right here, from Northwestern would be great as well too. Again, all of these guys right here. To be honest with you, any of these three, I would just be absolutely hyped with. Again, are these going to be starters initially? Probably not, but it's depth. And I've said this over and over and over and over again. As fans, look, we are fans of this team. We are. And we want these sexy players. I know that. But this team already has a lot of sexy players. Everyone I ever talk to, when I say, hey, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about the Chargers, they go, oh my God, when is your team ever going to make it happen? You guys got the talent every year, but you can never make it happen. I think the argument can also be made we don't have a lot of depth. Now, my point is we always have sexy players. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Austin Eckler, Everett, Justin Herbert. I mean, come on, how are we not making this happen, right? And part of the problem is we don't have depth. These last three drafts, all three of these drafts that Brandon Staley has had for the Chargers are depth draft picks. These guys are depth draft picks. These are higher rated players that have slipped in the draft, but are probably going to be larger key contributors. Maybe not this year, but probably special teams. But then next season, think about last year. Leonard, big special team player. John Taylor, big special team player. He came in at the end of the season when people got hurt, played decently as a corner. JT Woods played a little bit, but he didn't tackle. I suspect he might be a guy that will step in. If we don't get someone like a Ringo, we don't get a good safety or some defensive back that we think is going to step in, JT Woods will have to step up, right? Low is our guy. It's Low and Derwin James. Okay, so injuries happen. JT Woods is going to have to step in. So again, it's depth. These guys need to take that jump, but it gives them some time to learn from veterans and move into this. And so day three is always depth for me, right? This is value. You're finding value. You're finding best overall and value and depth. That's what you want. So I promise you, any of these guys are on the board, we will get them. Right. So I think this will probably, let's see. I would say probably not this Clemson guy at edge. No, not this linebacker. Clark Phillips, yes, this guy right here. He is solid. I actually watched him play quite a few times. He's pretty good. I'm a big fan of him. I can see him. He was also the captain on at the U as well too. So I would say these top four: Ringo, Ottawambe, Jones, Ohio State. I think this could be a really good guy. I'm a big fan of him. Again, more depth on the line is always a good thing. You want to keep Herbert upright, especially since we picked up his fifth-year contract. Darius Rush, maybe fourth or fifth round pick, maybe. This guy from Alabama is actually very good. I don't know that we need another linebacker at this point because we did pick up Henley. This is my guy, though. I think we could get him. I would say, if I had to make a prediction, guys, I would say we get this guy in the fifth round, and our fourth pick, we get Ringo if he's available, or this guy right here from Utah, Clark Phillips. And I wouldn't be mad about it. But again, guys, that's kind of frustrating, right? As fans, we wanted a tight end. I wanted a tight end. We could still get a tight end. But I will say this. We got three pretty good tight ends on our room right now, guys. We got three. So let me wrap up here, guys. I know I've just a little longer than I expected it to be. I literally hopping on a plane here pretty shortly. I understand the argument that this isn't the sexiest day two ever, but understand there's a method to the madness, right? Bottom line, we are getting depth. We are getting players that can step in and help in special teams now. But when we have to let Mac or Bosa go, who is going to be our guy? And we're going to have to let one of those guys go. Again, same thing. These day three is a nothing but depth. So just remember that, guys. That's really a big part of it. Probably not going to see a lot of play time this season, but our team is aging out. Make no mistake about it. Our team is an extreme veteran team. People talk about it all the time. Matt Money Smith and I think Chris Hayward talk about it quite often. I think we are the most veteran-laden team in the NFL right now. So things are going to change pretty rapidly with this team. So, guys, as always, Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.